Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your weekly intuitive astrology forecast for the week of July 27th to August 2nd of 2025. Oh, where is my mind at today? Okay, before we get into the charts for this week, if you're looking for any kind of a reading with me, all those links are in the description below. I have a couple set out in the description, but you can just go to my link tree and everything is absolutely all listed there if you're not sure what is what. Also, before we head into the charts here, as I like to say before I get into this for all of my videos, as I do this intuitively, my guidance has been, and likely always will be, astrology is an energetic template conducive to certain things. Meaning the energetic template is there, however, we still have free will that exists within that, right? The analogy that they have given me previously is that it's like a math formula. There's variables that exist within that formula. We control those variables, okay? Whereas the astrology chart or the template is the formula itself. All right. Again, it's when your higher self wanted to play the character of you in this lifetime, it had to come at a certain time where there was an energetic template conducive to creating the character of you, right? Okay, so that's that kind of vibe. And of course, I do get stuff through intuitively through this as well. And as with any intuitive reading at all whatsoever, it is always subject to change because we have free will. All right, with all that being said, let me pull up the chart on my end here and we can jump right into it for this week. Now, I will tune into each aspect, of course, intuitively to get the energy, to get the vibe. Remember, what I get through that and what I'm saying is the overall vibe of that energy collectively, okay? Anytime, if you're looking, wow, it's going to specifically affect you on an individual personal level, you will always need a personal reading for that, no matter what it is, whether it's astrology, card readings, whatever, it doesn't matter. I do this as mundane astrology. This is collectively how the energies are. It may drill down, I may get something for maybe someone that's watching or globally or whatever. Well, it's just kind of whatever is coming through, but whatever I get through is of course a general collective type of energy or the general energy of those aspects. And like I said, how it's going to specifically affect you, you always need a personal reading for, no matter what. Okay, that's not just me trying to get personal readings, it's just how it works, okay? Because we're all unique individual people. How this energy is going to be used specifically for you is going to be unique to you. That's just how it is. All right, so we're going to start here on Sunday, July 27th, 2025. The only thing I really have here peaking is this Venus here in biquintile to Pluto. Okay, so, and if anyone is new here, I do minor aspects as well because minor aspects are just as potent and as, I guess, potent or active as major aspects are, all right? They're affecting us in much the same way. Yeah, and even those who have previously watched me before maybe don't know why I do minor aspects, but I do them because they're just as effective as everything else. They affect you, they're in your personal chart, they're, anyway. All right, so we have this Venus here in Gemini in this biquintile here to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So let me just give a quick tune in here. So that Venus, biquintile, Pluto. It feels like a simmering anger regarding a feminine type of energy. It's like... Okay, the analogy that I'm getting, this is a bit of a heteronormative relationship analogy, but it's like if the husband pisses off the wife and she doesn't say anything, but there's that simmering anger that's in the background. It's like she's mad, but she's not saying anything. It's just kind of there. Or maybe the husband is just completely oblivious and unaware, like most husbands are, and don't really doesn't really pay attention to the fact that he might have pissed her off. That's what that feels like to me. Okay, so yeah, and again, that's just, there's that. Here, let me just access this again. Venus and biquintile to Pluto. So there's an intensity that exists to that Pluto, and I think this Venus, that feels like that's what that feminine energy is coming through, is this Venus here. as I want to say wanting to express, because we are in Gemini here, but it's wanting to express, but for some reason she's not. Why, I don't know. This could be something that's simmering for maybe previously. I think I talked last Sunday. I forget what aspect was last Sunday, but there was an aspect of an angry feminine as well. This seems to be more like it's simmering on the back of the stove instead of overboiling on the front, right? It's not on the big burner with the big pot and it's boiling over. It's on the back the small burner at the back, just kind of slowly simmering away, okay? Like, you're waiting for your stew or whatever to, all the juices and the flavors to simmer and amalgamate together. But when you're angry, you don't really want to do that. Okay, but that's just kind of what this vibe feels like. Is there any other message or anything else surrounding this Venus energy? It feels like she wants things done, wants something done, wants something resolved. I feel like that probably relates to that Pluto retrograde, because what I feel is there's an intensity that comes from this Pluto energy in Aquarius, and I feel like that's likely surrounding that aspect of change. There's some type of intense transformation and change that really is wanting to occur here, and I feel like the fact that this is simmering is dealing with this biquintile aspect. It's kind of like what I describe this as is like it's not hidden, but it's not being thrown in your face. Like I said, it's the simmering pot at the back of the stove. It's not hidden, but it's not the rolling boil from the big burner at the front kind of a thing, if you know what I mean, right? It's like, or the wife analogy of like she's simmering mad, but it may not be obvious as to the oblivious husband that may not notice. Okay, but it's not like she's hiding it. It's just she's not overly expressing it, is what that feels like. So there are some aspects surrounding that in terms of a transformation or a change that needs to occur, and it feels like an angry feminine energy. And like I said, there's a feminine energy that has been coming through for a few weeks now, whereas it's kind of the same one or something different. But there's something here. It's like something needs to shift with this vibe is what it feels like. And this could be related to Mercury retrograde too, as these things that are kind of coming up, Mercury retrograde as well as Pluto retrograde, like I said, things coming up for reevaluation in some way too. Okay, so that's Sunday the 27th. Let's move on to the 28th here of July. So we've just got just a few things. So we'll have a look at the first one here. Where am I? There we go. Where we're going to have Mercury retrograde in semi-square to Venus. Okay, and this might be what I was tapping into at the end there regarding yesterday in terms of how this could relate to Mercury retrograde stuff coming up. So let me just tune into this. Mercury retrograde, semi-square Venus. Being made aware. Being made aware of what? Being made aware, like, what is this? It almost feels like a feminine energy that is helping us to be made aware. Okay, so Mercury and Leo can bring things, like into the spotlight, into the light. The sun rules Leo. Okay, and the sun is in its own sign of Leo right now. All right, so this is like bringing things to light. And of course, with the retrograde, this is going backwards. So to relook at things, rework things, etc. It's all those rewords. Okay, and then with Venus in Gemini's that Mercury sign, right, of communication, of that bringing things to that, awareness. Okay, so if I burp like that, that's usually the guides or my higher self saying, pay attention to this. So it's bringing something into awareness, through whatever is being highlighted through this energy. And there's a feminine type of energy. This almost feels like kind of subtle. It's like, here you go. It's like that intuitive energy, that feminine energy. It's like you got to tap in, like, here you go. It's like very flowing, and like it's just kind of presenting it to you, like it's like a plate floating on the water, and it just floats up to you. That's like, did you know we had this? Did you know this was happening right now? Did you know this was here? It's kind of like that kind of a vibe. So let me just further tune into this here. Mercury retrograde, semi-square Venus. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say with that other than what I already have. Also today we're going to have this Venus in sextile to Chiron. Chiron actually about to go retrograde here in Aries. So let me just give a quick tune in here, that Venus in sextile to Chiron. Initially, I feel like something that needs to be, something that needs to be worked on, to be healed. Like there's wounds, and almost like there was a previous, like maybe an outrage, or like something happened, and it feels like this energy of like people that are like upset about something that has occurred, whether it's a wounding or something that has happened, and it's like, we got to do something about this, like we got to fix this, is what it feels like with that energy. Anything else with this Venus sextile Chiron? It feels like a feminine authority is wanting to help with that change. Now, I don't know if, like, it's just, again, this is just the vibe of this energy. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be specifically someone. It could be, but it just feels like a feminine authoritative type of energy. This could just be like the feminine energy, or a feminine energy is trying to help us just in general through a lot of things. And this feels like a very authoritative, strong feminine. Like if a feminine energy, like in power, like a woman in power, like a mayor of a town, or like on a council, or on like this like president or prime minister of a country, something like that. It doesn't feel like that high level. It actually feels more of like a local level. But someone of some aspect of power that is standing up for something that is hurt, or some kind of wrong that needs to be righted through that Chiron energy. And it's vocally speaking out about this. Okay, anything else? Tune into this Venus sextile Chiron. What I get is there's this feminine energy. It's like she's helping us. It's like there's an awareness that needs to be made again. Okay, we back. Sorry, I'm honestly kind of annoyed, but Mercury retrograde, so it just died. I don't know why. But here I am again. Hopefully this is all working. I'm just going to jump right back in and continue where I left off. Okay, so I think we're done with Venus sextile Chiron. I'm just going to leave it at that. And we'll jump right into next one here is Neptune sesqui-square Juno. So we're at my Neptune retrograde, in sesqui-square here to Juno. And for those that don't know, the sesqui-square is basically a square and a half, known as like a super square. So this is really strongly pushing for resolution in some way, something that can't be swept under the rug any longer. Of course, Juno is dealing with relationships, but more like partnerships, as in like partnerships, committed partnerships, contractual partnerships, can be business contracts, any type of contract or sole contractor, that kind of stuff as well that can exist with this energy. So let me just tune in here. So Neptune in sesqui-square to Juno. That Neptune energy, it's unknown, elusive is what it kind of feels like. But there's initially what I get with this is this aspect of this Juno, because Juno was previously retrograde and now it's direct again. So I'm moving forward into whatever has been transformed or reworked regarding that retrograde, regarding those committed partnerships, contracts, etc. Of course, I say that because Juno's in Scorpio. We're dealing with that transformative process. Okay, so let me just tune into this again, see if I can get any more from the Neptune and sesqui-square to Juno. Okay, initially, just before I got to that, was like this. What this kind of sesqui-square with that Neptune is about is that unknownness of that Neptunian energy, of that new direction. Of where that has been transformed. It's like there's this we're pushed, there's a strong push here towards that new unknown direction. Okay, let me tune in a bit more here. The Neptune in sesqui-square to Juno. There's an independent vibe to this, and I feel it's with that Neptune in Aries. Even though Neptune is retrograde, I feel like it's going over these old, whatever this was that was reworked and transformed. It's kind of going over the old stuff that kind of used to happen regarding whatever this partnership was, but now it's like this moving forward into the unknown, and that may relate to more of an independent type of space, because whatever these committed partnerships or contracts were, this transformation could have been an end, right? Because we're dealing with Scorpio, the endings and death, like it's like Scorpio's like the death card in tarot, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's an actual death. It just means that there's an ending, where there's a transformation that has occurred. So this has changed in some way, which means some aspect of it could have ended, which maybe has led to some more type of, because it feels to me like an independent kind of a vibe surrounding this. I think last week I talked about something like a relationship or a partnership where both parties exist there, but there's an independence that exists, as in they both lead their own independent lives, yet they're still in a committed partnership or relationship together, right? Because that is a possibility. You can be two completely different people and living your own lives, but still want to be together and commit to a partnership in some way. You don't have to like all the same things or do all the same things or whatever. You can have your independence and enjoy it too, right? There's ways that you can do that. Okay, and that's kind of the vibe of which that I'm kind of getting with this again. Let me just tune in again a bit more, that Neptune in sesqui-square to Juno. Yeah, it honestly feels new to me, but it's related to whatever previous changes have been made. And that can relate to that Neptune retrograde, that it's going over the old space, but realizing this unknown stuff. But that old stuff is relating to what has been transformed through this independence, because Juno is technically like just come out of retrograde, Juno's out of retrograde, and it's just you're moving forward in this space. Like I can honestly only just say what it feels like, and that's what it feels like to me. Okay, let's move on now with this Mercury here in semi-sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. So Mercury retrograde in semi-sextile to Jupiter. This isn't happening though till like way later, like almost 10 p.m. Central. I'm looking at my little list of aspects here for those of you who are wondering why I'm looking down. Okay, so Mercury retrograde semi-sextile Jupiter. So let me just tune in here. Mercury retrograde semi-sextile Jupiter. I get like a chaotic, like an expansion, like there's a chaotic aspect that I feel is related to Mercury being in retrograde. And of course, Jupiter expanding what it touches, it's like expanding like this chaotic energy. Let me just tune into a bit more. This feels a bit more localized though, oddly enough. Again, it feels like there's this feminine energy, because Cancer is a feminine water sign. It feels like this feminine energy is trying to make us aware of something. Through whatever this chaos is, through whatever, this Mercury retrograde chaotic kind of energy. As I say that because, Mercury's retrograde, but look what's in Mercury sign here, Uranus, okay? That's why this Mercury retrograde might be a little bit more chaotic or unpredictable than maybe some others, right? Let me tune in if there's anything else regarding this Mercury retrograde in semi-sextile Jupiter. Localized chaos is what I can attribute to that, and to try to be made aware of something. Yeah. All right, so that's Monday the 28th. Let's move on here to Tuesday here, the 29th, and there's nothing major peaking on this day. So let's move on then to Wednesday the 30th here. I like it when it's easy, you know. Move on to Wednesday the 30th here, and of course this is when we're going to have Chiron going retrograde. That doesn't happen until... Oh, I have the chart set earlier here, that's why. The chart is set to 6:41 a.m. This happens at 9:16 a.m. Central Standard Time, not Central Daylight Time, which is the same as Mountain Time currently, so yeah. So that's when we're going to have this Chiron going retrograde. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick tune in here for this Chiron retrograde. What is this Chiron retrograde? Okay, initially it's like it's going over where we've been wounded or hurt or felt almost like cheated in a lot of ways. But this feels like on a more of a collective scale. This could be more localized by certain specific events, but that are more aware on a larger scale. But where we've kind of been like hurt or wounded in some way surrounding that, or people that have been, but there's almost like this outcry of support for whoever has been hurt in that way, and it's going over these old things to be relooked at again. And I would like to say almost ultimately to be healed, really, with this retrograde going over these old things of where those wounds were, ultimately to be healed in some way. Now, is there anything more specific to that Chiron retrograde in Aries, or just... Okay, the Aries energy with this feels more of like that passion and strength for the cause, rather than more of like an individual wound. It's just almost, like I said, it feels somewhat like there's a bunch of different things, and they feel more localized in whatever areas that they exist in, but there's almost like a public outcry or support for this, and it's in a passionate, supportive way. I feel like that's what that Aries energy is there with this Chiron retrograde. There's a passionate, supportive way for whatever or whoever has been wounded in whatever way, but there's support for those people to get either like justice or a healing or whatever that they need to move forward. Okay, so I'm burping there again, so pay attention to that. So that's kind of what there's like a public support that kind of exists with this. Anything else with that Chiron retrograde? Yeah, it's just going over those old things, basically being like, okay, like we got to fix this. How are we going to deal with this in the future? We feel like this has been unjust. These people have been hurt in this way. There's like a very passionate, I wanted to say passionate wounding, but passionate, like passion regarding the wounding that has occurred to whatever these groups have gone through. And it, like I said, it could be like multiple things depending on where you are in the world or what's going on, right? So that's what that Chiron retrograde feels like to me there. If we also look here, we're going to have this Venus in a sesqui-square to a black moon Lilith in Scorpio as well today. So let me just do a quick tune in here to that Venus in sesqui-square to black moon Lilith. Again, I'm feeling that Lilith energy. I almost feel like there's a strong feminine energy here trying to make something aware. Like that Lilith energy, she don't fuck with bullshit, okay? Especially in Scorpio. And with that Venus in Gemini, like I said, I feel like there's the very strong feminine energy that's trying to make something aware. She's almost like very, very vocal. It's not being hidden, but it's not necessarily, how do I say? It's just like there's a vocal part to this. Like she's speaking, like she doesn't care. Like she's just speaking it out regardless of what anybody's going to think of her. She's like, I don't care. I'm gonna say what I need to say because this is what's going on. That's the kind of energy that it is. And it's that kind of vibe that when she says it, it kind of, regardless of who you are, you're like, oh, okay, like you're not, it's like you don't want to like engage back with any retaliation because you know you're just going to get knocked flat on the floor. Like that's the energy that it feels like. I can go back to maybe like the angry wife analogy, although it's not necessarily what I'm getting, but it's like you don't want to push back because you know that she's right and you're just going to get thrown against the wall. Okay, let's see, anything else with this energy? I tune into this Venus sesqui-square, Black Moon Lilith. Yeah, it's just something that needs to be made aware of. Something that needs to be made aware of. That is a very strong feminine energy coming through here, really pushing for this. Remember, a sesqui-square is, you know, that super square pushing for resolution, something that can't be swept under the rug any longer, something that needs to be strongly made aware of in some way. Also on this day, we're going to have Mercury here in semi-square to Mars in Virgo. Okay, Mercury retrograde semi-square to Mars here. Let me just... It's like whatever is coming up for Mercury retrograde that is falling apart or breaking, this Mars and Virgo energy wants to take action to fix it. On a very simple, mundane level, that's what it feels like. And it feels probably very simple and mundane because that's Virgo, very simple. And, well, it's very mundane. I don't know how simple Virgo might be. Maybe in some ways simple, like as an organized wants to make it simple, but it can be a bit like, you know, OCD kind of neurotic type of energy. But again, this just kind of feels like fixing whatever is being brought to light with whatever this Mercury retrograde type of energy is that exists here. Is there anything else with that? And you have to remember too, like the semi-square it's a square, okay? So it's pushing for that resolution, wanting to solve something and do something about it in some way. Again, squares, oppositions, they're not bad. They don't have to be bad. This idea that people make them out to be bad, it's like, no, they're not. An opposition is seeking balance in some way. A square is pushing for resolution, wanting you to take action in some way to fix whatever that energy is bringing up for you. To use those energies in a way to, like they're bringing up something that needs to be taken care of in some way, basically. All right? And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. And you can do that from a higher level and realize, oh, this is an issue. Yeah, we have to fix this. I understand that. It doesn't have to be bad, okay, people? It doesn't have to be bad. Anyways, Mercury retrograde in semi-square to Mars. Yeah, it just feels like almost like being helpful, fix like stuff that's gonna, like Mercury retrograde thingies, that's just, shit's just gonna go wrong, and there's this action to take to try to help to fix it. That's the vibe. I don't think there's anything more to say with that. That's just what is coming through. Let's go to the 31st here then, on Thursday. And we're going to have on this day, hold on, I totally missed something from yesterday. On the 30th, Venus enters into Cancer. Sorry, I don't know how the hell I missed that, but it happens late at night. So Venus here in Gemini. If I move to the 31st here, you can see that now Venus is at 0 degrees Cancer. Okay, so with Venus in Cancer here, let me just give a quick tune in to see a Venus in Cancer. Venus in Cancer. Feels very feminine, feels very Cancer. It feels very nurturing, open, supportive. It's like she's wanting to get stuff done. Okay, Cancer. What I'm getting is Cancer is a cardinal sign, okay? And Venus in here, there's that nurturing, supportive energy that's wanting to get stuff done, that's wanting to move forward. And like, that's likely why I get feeling that vibe. So Venus in Cancer. Anything else? It kind of feels like she's the mom, like the boss, kind of, and like not a bossy, but there's a feminine energy here that's wanting to nurture, support, just and be like, okay, this has to get done, and but that's what that energy feels like to me. Is this very nurturing, supportive energy that's feminine energy that's just wanting to get stuff done. Is what that feels like. At least for this initial ingress, that could be for the whole duration, but at least for this initial ingress, that's what it feels like. Also on this day now, we're on the 31st now, we're going to have Venus here in semi-sextile to Uranus. So let me just have a tune in here. Is that Venus in semi-sextile to Uranus? It feels like it almost like just relates to that sudden energy shift of like from Gemini to Cancer is part of that. I mean, Uranus is that aspect of change, but is there anything else with this? Okay, so that feminine energy that I talked about that's wanting to take action on stuff, part of that is on change. So she's wanting to nurture, to take action to stuff, but part of that is regarding these aspects of change. Anything else with that? Because I feel like she's being, what I see is, it feels like she's kind of like being vocal, almost like giving orders. So it's like, you do this, or you do this, we got to move forward to this. It's almost like that communicative aspect of Gemini coming through here with that Uranian. We've got to change this and make this happen, and this is happening, this is occurring, we've got to do this, and it's nurturing that path of change through communicating it and dictating it, and then using that cardinal energy to move it in a new direction. Anything else with that Venus in sextile to Uranus energy? Nothing else. So, yeah. The other thing happening on this day, we're going to have this, this Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde here. So the Sun-Mercury Cazimi moment. So let me tune in here. The Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde. It almost feels like a Mercury retrograde moment of something going wrong, and like this, oh my god, like it's being strongly illuminated or brought to our awareness in some way. Especially with this Leo energy, it's like shining the light, and with the Sun in its home sign of Leo, shining the light on this. So whatever this Mercury retrograde stuff is bringing up, it's like this, oh my god, like I didn't realize this, or oh my god. Because remember, that Mercury retrograde, that's slowing down, is for us to reevaluate, relook, re-see things that maybe we haven't like seen before or fully realized before. And now with this Sun-Mercury Cazimi or conjunction, it's like this, whatever is happening during this Mercury retrograde at this moment comes even more highlighted and aware during the Sun-Mercury conjunction, this Cazimi moment. Anything else surrounding this? It almost like felt like a global event. I don't know if that's specifically what it's going to be, or if that's just the analogy that they're giving me. It's almost like something happens that's people are very aware of, and it's like, oh my god. That's the kind of vibe that it is. So whether that's something that happens externally to make us realize this, or whether we just have that realization ourselves that it's like, oh my god, we'll just have to see. But it feels like it's more like something happens to make us aware, and we become more aware through whatever that highlighted event is. Anything more to that? It's kind of shocking. That's kind of what it feels like, but it's just like this, oh my god, and then it's like, we have to do something about like this. How could this, like, it's like this realization that it's like, how could this have happened, right? But like I said, with Uranus in Gemini of Mercury sign, things are going to seem like chaotic, happening out of nowhere, just like out of the ordinary too. Like it's not going to seem like an ordinary thing, but it's like, holy shit, how could this have happened, kind of a thing, is the vibe I'm getting with that. So that's Thursday the 31st. Let's move on to Friday here, August 1st, the first of the month. And of course, on the 1st, we're going to have the first quarter moon. Okay. So with this sun here at 9 degrees of Leo, still conjunct Mercury, and square the moon in Scorpio. All right, so interesting. Let's have a tune in here to this first quarter moon. I'm feeling the Scorpio energy. There's a very strong depth and intensity to this. It feels like intense. Yeah, it's like something being brought up or maybe related to what I said. It's like there's an intensity to this, but through whatever is being revealed. Anything else with this quarter moon? I'm getting maybe like an aspect of like political drama. But like I said, it's almost like it's like through this, it's like there's drama through something that's being revealed. Again, the moon can relate to like hidden things or subconscious things, and in Scorpio, it's, you know, diving deep into that. It's also bringing that to the surface to be seen and transformed. Scorpios can be like very psychic energy as well, because it's seeing beyond the veil, right? So we're seeing those hidden things. And of course, with the sun in Leo, illuminating that kind of stuff. And maybe that aspect of making it dramatic through revealing whatever that is, kind of in some way. Let me just see if there's any more to this first quarter moon. It's like something coming up, but it's not necessarily the end of it, because this is the first part of this lunar cycle, right? We had the new moon in Leo, then there's the quarter moon, then there'll be the full moon, then the last quarter moon, then the next new moon again. So it almost feels like this first quarter moon, it's like whatever is kind of coming up here to be revealed or whatever is not going to go away necessarily anytime soon, is kind of what that feels like. All right. Also on this day, we're going to have Venus in square to Saturn. So we have Venus here at 1 degree of Cancer in square to Saturn retrograde here at 1 degree of Aries. So Venus in square to Saturn. Let's tune in here. Initially, what I get is that it's kind of a part of what that authoritative, like, when I said that feminine, nurturing, feminine mom type energy that's like giving orders, that's kind of where I feel like part of this is coming from too. As with this square to Saturn in Aries, it's kind of like being that boss kind of energy. And of course, surrounding aspects that need to change, which can deal with that aspect to Uranus, like I said, but also with Saturn retrograde, these things that are coming up as well. And of course, Saturn in Aries, like I said, as it can relate to independence, setting appropriate boundaries surrounding that, etc., for our own sovereignty and etc. But let me just tune in if there's anything else with that Venus in square to Saturn retrograde. It's like Saturn is trying to show something here. Like there's a lesson that's involved with this retrograde energy. And this feminine energy is seeing what Saturn is showing and wanting to deal with it. To nurture a new path forward. It's like that mom energy wanting to nurture that change, but it's not in a negative like Saturn, like, it's more of like in a positive feminine, supportive kind of a way that is wanting to take charge and delegate and do this. Anything else with that Venus square Saturn? Nothing really, but this is a working together kind of an energy. This isn't really, it's like Saturn's trying to show something, but I don't feel that it's necessarily like nefarious. It's more of like, you got to see this is kind of a lesson kind of a thing, but it's a working, that energies are working together. Also, Venus is going to square Neptune on this day as well. That Saturn Neptune there, basically both retrograde and conjunct there at the beginning of the Aries. So Venus in square to Neptune. I'm getting more of like this cardinal energy and with an unknown path, or the path that we consider unknown because we're doing things that maybe we haven't done before, or having to go down a path of which we haven't had to experience yet, or experienced yet before in some way. And I feel like that can also relate to the North Node here in Pisces. All right, there's this biseptile here to the North Node in Pisces. I don't necessarily know, like, if I'm feeling if that's related or not. Possibly. But I am getting this just from that square, whatever that, and I feel like it's related mostly to this aspect of this Aries being like that cardinal, take action to move forward kind of a sign. And that, and what I'm saying in that path going forward is, and we know we have to go down it, but it's somewhat elusive, that we're not fully seeing it. It's like you just have to trust and have faith. You know you have to go there, but you're just going to have to do it and trust and take it as it comes, is what I get with that. But there's a feminine energy that is supporting this and helping us to get through this, because you have to understand this Neptunian Pisces and this Cancerian energy that is a feminine energy. It understands that path very well, that trust, that faith, that trusting your intuition. And even if you don't see the full path ahead entirely, just trusting and allowing and going with the flow and allowing it to just take it as it comes, so to speak. Also near the end of the day as well, we're going to have Venus and quincunx now to this Pluto retrograde energy. So let me tune into this Venus and quincunx to Pluto retrograde. There's something that needs to, there's an issue that we're not sure how to deal with, but we know that something needs to change. It's the energy that I get from that. And that could be related to what I said previously in moving in a new unknown direction. But again, with a quincunx, it's almost like you don't necessarily maybe know how to make a change, or something has to be integrated, or it's like you have to come up with creative solutions to certain things. It can be very frustrating, and that's kind of what that feels like. There's a frustrating thing here, and you're not quite sure how on earth you're going to deal with whatever is coming up. Is what it feels like, but you know that it needs to change. Okay, something's coming up and you know that it needs to change, but you're not quite sure how the hell it's going to happen. Anything else with that Venus in quincunx to Pluto retrograde? How do I say this? It almost feels like that feminine energy is wanting to go with the flow with it. It acknowledges that this exists. It acknowledges that the solution seems almost like elusive or unknown, but it's just going to go with it because it knows and understands that that's the best way to find the solution. Is to say, okay, we have to make this change here, we have to move forward. But it's almost like that aspect of allowing whatever that creative solution is to come to you before you fully invest in making whatever that change that is going to occur. Yeah. Anything else with that, quincunx? It's kind of what it is. It's like, it's kind of just, you're aware of this energy and it needs to change or whatever, but you're not sure how to deal with it. So you're kind of letting it like a vibe on the side for a little while. It's like you put it to the back burner. It's simmering at the back of the stove. You know that it's there. You just don't know how to deal with it yet. And you're waiting for a creative solution to come and help you to resolve that situation. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on to Saturday the 2nd now. Reaching the end of the week here. And we just got a couple minor aspects today. So we're going to have Venus again in sesqui-square to Juno. Okay. And then Mars in quincunx to Chiron. Okay, so this Venus in sesqui-square to Juno, let's just tune in here and see. This feels very moving forward energy, and I feel like it's because of that Juno now direct. It's whatever was reworked with those contracts now moving forward in some way. But what I get is this nurturing, it's this supportive, more supportive, like feminine energy again with this Venus in Cancer. Helping to push forward whatever changes have occurred here in whatever contracts, committed contracts, partnerships, etc. Are moving forward. Yeah, she's just like pushing forward on whatever these changes are, really. That's what it feels like to me, but it feels very feminine. I get a very strong, like, independent vibe from this. And like a 1980s kind of a vibe. I don't know if there's like that strong aspect of like feminine. Okay, back again. Sorry about that. More Mercury retrograde stuff. Let's just finish this off here though, because we're almost done. So we talked about the Venus sesqui-square Juno. Let's move on to Mars here in quincunx to Chiron. Okay, so let me just tune in here. Mars in Virgo in quincunx to Chiron, now retrograde in Aries. What I'm getting is what I was relating to with this. Okay, hold on. I'm feeling that Chiron retrograde stuff that I felt before, but this passionate support is kind of is what I'm feeling from this Mars in Virgo type of energy of wanting to fix it. Now, what's this the quincunx with this? It feels like there's something in the way. Whether this is it almost feels like a government bureaucracy type of an energy, or there's like something that's in the way that's stopping whatever this Mars energy wants to fix with whatever this Chiron retrograde wounds or hurts, whatever that is coming up here. So there's something there's something like that that's in the way, and that's the frustrating part that with this quincunx. It's like, you want to take action to shift and change this regarding whatever these wounds are, but that thing is in the way, and it's like this big heavy thing, and you don't know how the hell you're going to get around it to almost like get justice or find a solution to healing whatever this is. Is there anything else surrounding that Mars and quincunx Chiron retrograde energy? No, I am not getting anything else with that. Okay, so that's basically Saturday. Bring it back to myself now. So yeah, that's it for this week. I'm just going to do a tune in here to see like how the energies of this week could potentially affect us on maybe a more individual level in general. Okay, so let me just kind of tune into what that energy might be. I'm getting kind of more of a Mercury retrograde-y kind of chaotic energy as in like stuff is happening and you're just gonna kind of have to deal with it as it comes. Like stuff is coming up and you may be realizing things, awareness of things, awakening of things, dealing with things, that kind of energy. Anything else surrounding that? It also maybe feels like seeing things that are happening in the world more. Maybe there's might be some shock to certain things that are happening, or saying like, wow, there's a lot of this that's going on, or more shocking things are happening or occurring, and we're beginning to feel it on a more individual level. This feels like a feminine energy, though, that is being more aware of these things. As I'm getting this from a feminine perspective. It's like if there's the feminine, and of course that doesn't necessarily mean women, it just means the feminine aspect within all of us. If we're able to tune in into that aspect more, if that aspect is not blocked within us, then we're going to be seeing these things, or being made more aware, or more wanting to fix things more, or being made more aware of whatever is being brought to the surface here for us to see or be revealed in some way. Okay, on a global scale or on a more collective scale, what's the main energies of this week? I'm getting more like political stuff surrounding Trump, because of course, why wouldn't there be? Anything else? Of course, more like more people being upset with stuff that he's saying and doing, which of course, why wouldn't there be? It feels like kind of surrounding that. Is there anything else? I still feel like this lingering energy. It's like of like the old world, like trying to hang, of like this negative factions of the old world trying to hang on and prevent progress into the new in some way. But it's on its last leg. Like it's hanging on for dear life, but there's no chance of survival. It's like they're throwing whatever they can out, but it's not going to stick. It's not going to work. Again, as there's a similar energy from the end of last week's video and it's kind of the same thing. And that kind of, what I get with that is that kind of feels like it relates to that Thailand, Cambodia issue. That I don't think we're really seeing what truly is actually going on there, and that this is that issue is kind of like puppets on a string. The people that are pulling the strings, we're not actually seeing what is going on there, and they're trying to initiate something to continue to hang on to this old world war machine fighting kind of a thing. But like I said, that's going out. That's on its last legs. It's like it's not going to be allowed to continue in the way that they're thinking it's going to be able to continue going forward with that. Right? So I don't know if we're going to see a resolution or whatever, but it's like there's this energy of like maybe the message is like that kind of stuff that's happening is this old negative stuff of the world trying to hang on when it has already lost and is being let go of. All right, is kind of the best way that I can describe that kind of an energy. But yeah, I guess I'll just end it there for this week. If you've made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're a real one. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.